So, good day, everyone. I am Bindu and I look after the marketing for the WEM APAC region. Today, we are having a very special chat with Anita. Anita is WEM APAC's Business Development Director and she's based out of Malaysia. So, hi, Anita. How are you?
Hi, hi Bindu. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. So, today we are going to discuss a very interesting project that you were a part of. So, how was the experience? Very general question, but how was the experience?
Well, the experience is really good. Okay, because let me share a bit of my background. I started off as a programmer as well, and those days were COBOL programming. Can you imagine? I did COBOL programming until my PC, I think it was 386 or something, burnt the monitor burnt up. So
Oh
can you
God.
imagine? And then I move on and progress into doing hardware sales. And for the last 32 years in IT, I've not been doing programming for the last 28 or 30 years. So so this experience actually brought back good memories. It brought back, how to do flow charting, how to draw and understanding the whole flow. But surprisingly, I could pick it up very easily. I think it's because of no coding. I don't have a pickup. And I am more of a business IT, the interface between the end user and also our chief developer. So I didn't do the application myself, but I could follow through. And it was great experience because I have very good chief developer as well and designer. So John did a great job. So I think from that experience, comparing of my background, having had the experience and writing programs using COBOL versus WAM modeler, it's really, you can't imagine it if it was 30 years ago. Okay, and anyone can actually pick it up, I think, as long as you have the logic, the process flow, because everything in our life, whether it's corporate life or daily life, is a workflow,
Correct.
right?
True, true. That's true.
So that's the uniqueness of WAM. It's a process, it's a workflow. So that's how I find that it's really put a lot of people experience, and especially for the users to tell you what they are looking for.
Correct. So, I myself was, I mean, I have learned programming a bit, and this was like what I call an unlearning and learning experience. So, WEM definitely is a great platform because for people like us, even marketing people can actually go and build something. So that's amazing.
Right. So
So,
for
yeah, please go ahead.
so for this particular project, I think it is required in every countries, I would tell you. Why? Because in every country today, we have a lot of small, medium industries, right?
Correct.
Small, medium enterprise. And a lot of them are still very, um, they are not IT literate, but they know what they need. So this project is what we call microloan.
Okay.
Okay. And I think microloan started, the concept started very early in the years in India. I remember reading it where, the housewives, or where they are little villagers, that they wanted to start some cottage industry, but they needed small little loans. And so then this Bank of India or something like that started this micro loan, which says that it is built on trust that you loan people,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And the most important thing is, how do you do collection,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So that's where the concept of microloan came about. In Malaysia, the government do give out small little licenses where they can do loan as a loan company to their customers or clientele. So so these are all licensed. So it's not as complex as how bank wants it, because banks will be very high value loans that you take. But these are micro loans. That means it could be, 10,000 rupiah is like maybe 500 USD or even less, 250 USD. So these are the people who actually are helping the smaller industry, the cottage industry and the villagers to actually build their own livelihood.
And that's so good. I mean, with banks, when you go in banks, the systems, the processes are too much for someone like a small villager to follow and go ahead and do all that. They might lose an interest because they'll feel that being a part of this big industry is better that I lend from some friend or something of that sort. So the concept of microloan itself is so exciting.
Yes, yes. And you have to understand all these microloan, whether they are borrowers or they are the lenders, their education levels are not that high,
Correct.
right? And because it is based on trust and where you actually, in the sense that you trust them that they will return you the money, whether it's a daily return or something, it's something that they just need a very simple apps to do tracking. Who is the borrower, right? Who's the agent that actually service them? And then how much do they collect back every day, right?
Correct. Correct.
And in this system, the beauty of the system is that it's so simple. You just have the clientele data, and you don't even have to key in a lot of things because it is linked to your photo. And all of us carry our own ID, right? Our ID card.
Cards. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they will take a photo of it through their smartphone and upload into the clientele list. So you actually have a reference of their ID to the customer's data.
Great. Wow. Okay. So the tracking and everything is there in place with just a small ID.
Right. So, and can you imagine from a WAM, it actually then it tells you about how open it is that it interface with all sort of database because it's all data conform. And then you can actually download photos or PDF files that we can insert into the program.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it is really something that I find that is quite easy to do. I mean, I compared back to COBOL last time. Where can you link all these things, right? Forget it. But then,
Correct.
of course, you have the JavaScript and everything. It gets more. But again, it is scripts that people has got to read the scripts to follow the story. But when you create the program has a workflow, it
Hmm.
tells the story by itself. It's just like, a picture paints 1,000 words.
Correct. Correct. True. True.
So I find that even for people to support continuous support of any application written on web, it's much easier.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is all we created a very simple user interface, whether it is through your notebook or through your mobile phone. Okay, and remember WAM modeler, when you create one screen, it auto generates the size for you.
Ah, yes. So any form factor, you don't have to again go and code, or rather no code in this case.
That's
And
right. When I was talking to a lot of people, they always ask me, hey, I want a mobile app. I said,
hmm.
what's your definition of mobile app? Right? A mobile app, when you really talk about it, that means you want it to process something within your
uh,
mobile,
correct.
right? But when you come to WAM, everything or when it's all processed in the cloud, so you don't care whether it is your iPad or smartphone, Galaxy, whatever, Android or iOS, you can use it.
Hmm.
So I think that's the beauty of the technology I find behind other than easy building the applications.
Great. So, Anita, if I may ask you, like there might be the concept of microloans would have come long back, and the IVM integration has happened recently. So, what was it that they were using earlier, or what were the challenges that they were facing when they were using some different technology or something?
Okay, so they were using a sort of a very standard off-the-shelf financial package just to cater for it. Okay. And they had to remember the fields to be what they want it to be. So it's not called to what they wanted, to the naming convention. So they had a lot of workaround. So, and after a while, it's just that you are on your own, right? When you
Correct.
buy off the
Yes.
shelf package,
Yeah.
nothing else you can do to improve it. And they said that let's have it in the cloud as well, so that they don't have a worry to buy a server, they don't have a worry about backup and things like that. So they were using one of the financial software packages, which they find that is very challenging, and therefore they were scouting around to look for a new application. And when you talk about microloan, when you want it so simple, yet behind there's a lot of audits and tracking and everything,
Right.
it doesn't sound so simple. That's
Yeah.
where, the developer, John, was very good in putting that function behind without the end user knowing that there's a lot of check and balance.
Correct. 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 Like, when this happened, when the transition to WEM happened, were there any challenges, business-wise, technicality-wise? Because what happens is when we are adapting to a new technology, people are skeptical because they feel that, what is happening is much better. But if I have to migrate to something else, then, there might be challenges. I have to again recruit people. So were the client, were people behind this microloan project, were they skeptical, or were there any challenges as such in?
That's a very good question. I can tell you that you either use a cane, okay, to whip them and say, no, you got no choice, right? I think it is all human personality will always complain when there's a change.
Correct.
Okay. So the owner of the business must play his part, as well as we appointed a good project manager at the end user side, which is very keen to conduct classes at any hour of the day to actually teach the agents how to make use of the application. Well, there's nothing that the customer does. The customer can just, ask them for maybe a history of how much do I still owe and things like that. So the agent can actually read it to them. So this is really for the company to use, and therefore it's really that you just need to change. Sometimes we human has been so nice and polite, when we do big projects, it's always a headache. There's always people complaining. But once they are used to it, there's totally no complaints at all. They have been
Yeah.
using it for the last 3-4 months after the phase 2 upgrade. And they are very happy with it because they could close their loans, they could monitor the number of loans, they could even monitor the number of customers that took up multiple loans, things like that. So yeah, so I think when you change something, no one will like it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The apprehension is always there, but once you get used to something like this, then you would not like to go back to somewhere where you have to code stuff and for things like that.
That's right.
Great. So, if this was to be done through the traditional coding method, like maybe a JavaScript or Python or something of that sort, would the project completion life be too long? And has it reduced because of them and the platform as such?
Okay, for me, I would tell you that, there's only one main person that was developing the whole application. That was John. And every time I find something new or they want the user request for something new, John will tell me, oh, in my mind, I would say, oh, I think I would tell the end users, maybe give John a week. When I explain it to John, John will tell me, okay, I'll get it done by tonight.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's
That's
like,
a win-win situation for you then.
yeah. But then because I was, as a business IT or a person, you will always try to buy time for your team members, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
every time that I ask him, or they say, "Oh, let me finish my something else first." Then, or if he is busy with some other projects, he will say, "Oh, I take a day or two." But other than that, then he'll text me in the WhatsApp chat group and say, "Oh, it's done. I already published it live."
Oh, wow. Wow. So that would be like change requests are like this then, just snap your finger and the change requests are done, implemented.
Yes, yes. So I think it's because when you don't have to go through every single worms the coding of yours, it's
Right.
much easier. Okay. So and I've actually sat down with John when we were trying to figure out how to implement a new feature. All that John did was he will present to me on screen the web modeler. Then he will just walk through and say, following through the flowchart and say, maybe I could insert something here and then have it another level of calculations. So I think once you are used to it,
Mm.
John is very easy for the developer to use modeler.
Yes, and coming back to my previous question of change, was there any apprehension for security concerns? Because, when you're talking about microloans and all this, so were
Oh
there
yeah.
security concerns?
There were security concerns where is the data being set, backup, and things like that. So because RAM sits on those global cloud system, and we follow through all the security systems and everything. So then they say, no, we trust you, RAM. Just go ahead.
Great.
Yes, we are not like, we are hosting it locally in Malaysia cloud. I think you just don't have to worry where it is. As long as you can get your data, and the good thing is that RAM Global sometimes do maintenance and they will do it odd hours. So
Mm.
it's just good timing for us.
Correct. Okay. And like when the project was delivered, were there any specific highlighting success indicators, which stood out, maybe for the client or for the users?
Oh, okay. For the clients, I think for the owner, he was doing a lot of manual recording as well because the previous system couldn't generate out certain, tabulating certain reports or
Mm,
keeping track the way he wanted it.
mm.
So we built it for him, and it's like giving him a whole life again in the evening or daytime where he doesn't have to do things manually. And I think initially he was still, when I met up with him, when we did the phase one, he was still writing. And I said, why are you spending time writing and doing calculations? Then, then I said, can it be done? Can it be computerized? I said, yeah. Because
Correct.
you already have the basic data of your customers and clientele and loans. So if you want to do like measurements of whether your profitability of, per loan, the rates and things like that, it can be calculated and generated by them. So that I think he was very, very appreciative that now he has got back his time to
Time,
enjoy
yeah.
more.
Yeah, he can focus. So I think that's the benefit, or that's what USP of VEM is. You concentrate more on logic and other stuff rather than spending your time on things that a system can take care of. Like,
Right, right.
so it
And
maybe, yeah, that time could be spent in marketing or other stuff.
right.
It is.
So the other thing was also good because you have so many agents that collecting the funds back, and they have certain commissions as well. And
Mm.
when you actually systemized it, then it's all auto-generated. There's no argument whether, hey, you owe me this, you owe me that, right?
Correct, correct, correct. It's documented directly.
Right. So microloan is very important, especially for, I think, anyone in any country who has such loans that they are loaning out that, you know, and they need to know because they close their books every day so that they have the latest update of the loan. So it becomes very easy for them to monitor all. Oh yeah,
So okay.
I was saying that any customers that would really want to take a look at microloan and use it, we are more than happy to share with them, and we can actually localize towards what they want. And it will be
Oh,
very, very fast. Yeah.
okay. So it's not country specific. It can be done across the globe.
Yes, yes. Because the most important thing is that when microloan, like you say, it's very logical. It's very simple logic that you actually say you need a tracking system of all your loans, right?
Correct.
You
Correct.
need to close your loans. And this is where you do not want to have your end users so much complications to put in the data.
Hmm. Correct. Correct. And is it scalable? Is this thing
Yes.
scalable?
Well, when writes on SQL database, right? And
Yeah.
it's a cloud platform, definitely is scalable.
The reason I'm asking this is there are a lot of companies who have these. They might be operating in particular region, and then they might go into some other region, and they want to interconnect or interlink all of this into a central database or something of that sort. So it's possible, right? And
It's
all these.
possible because you see, the microloan is that this is a core engine to track all the loans, right? Once this is built, but how do you want to link and how do you want it to capture more data? And RAM modular from a technology standpoint is very easy to add on. So that's why it's already pre-built, a core, and therefore if any country members that you all go out and promote it, you can also sell it and people just subscribe to it. That's all. It's a monthly subscription. That's all. So to me, is that if when you talk about companies that operate leasing companies, to pay a minimal subscription fees on a monthly basis is really not. It's really like not even a grain of salt,
Correct. True.
right?
True.
Because it's so important that you have trackings and how you actually go and work with your customers in terms of their payments. So without any system, there's always a risk.
Great. I think even if there are any banks or any smaller sections, like smaller banks, cooperative sort of banks who are on their process of digital transformation, I think this project can really act like a visual showcase for them, like the
Yes,
capabilities of.
yes. I would strongly suggest that, that people uh, come for a demo and see with, for themselves. It's a simple tracking, okay? But how they want to put it in their customized way, it can be done.
Hmm. Great. Great. Any specific points that you would like to mention, Anita, for maybe for smaller banks or smaller companies who are looking into digital transformation? What should be the steps? If you have to boil it down in 3 to 4 steps with this with Viven Modular and your experience now with the microloan project. So.
I would say as long as you know and understand your process flow,
Hmm.
it can be easily converted to an application.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's it. Whether
As
it's banking industry, any industry, because everywhere we have got to have our standard operating processes, right?
correct. Correct.
Even with this pandemic, we have got to have SOP and things like that.
Yeah, true. True.
So
True.
as long as you understand process, you can convert it into become application.
Great. Yeah. And with pandemic, I think digitization or digital transformation has gained more importance than maybe what it was in before 2020. So, just
That's right.
like,
And the time that it takes for you to create an application, that's what people are looking at. And also the most important thing is how to do modification to cater for the change. Change is the most constant thing today.
true. Very true. And what better scenario than the current one? Everything is changing. Unimaginable things have happened. So, so
Yep.
Great, great. And, I think thanks, Anita. This was really wonderful. I think I have gained a lot of knowledge personally, not knowing much of programming or coding, but the entire project and how it is linked to a logical database rather than, learning a code or learning a language and doing it. More than that, the emphasis is on the logic, and that's
Right.
where your brain works, at the end of the day.
That's
So
right.
yes, it's lovely to understand that a simple flow chart can actually build an application. So
Mm. Okay. Thank you very much for having
thank
me.
you.